Hey everyone, we are back with another video on the semi-trailer. It's the project that never ends, and it's a disaster, as you can see. Lots more work to do. We got a lot of stuff, really cool stuff going on in today's video. So we have updates both on the trailer and on the tractor, which you can't see, but is right out there. We got the interior of the tractor back together. Now, if you remember when we first started tearing that apart, just kind of how disgusting it was. Oh, that is ripe. Mice, tons of mice. Mice in my nightmares were infested. That truck was infested with mice. Anyways, we got it all cleaned out, and now you can actually sit in it and, you know, not throw up, which is, I'd say, an improvement, right? So we're gonna give you a tour of the interior. It's not 100% finished yet, but you won't believe the transformation. We're also gonna do some work here on the trailer, specifically on the belly boxes. Now, as you remember, the belly boxes, the original ones are still on here, but they added a whole bunch more belly boxes. And in our last few videos, we've been working to cut all those away. Well, in today's video, we're actually going to remove some of the panels to reveal the back side of the belly box. They've been covered up for 30 years. And then we're going to pressure wash the belly boxes because mice lived in them. They're disgusting. It's a beautiful day out. We're just going to pressure wash everything, let it air dry. And who knows, maybe there'll be some studio markings we'll uncover underneath all that mouse crap. I don't know. So I hope you'll kind of join us. And I have to give a shout out to my mom for finding this awesome t-shirt. Back in 1997, I went to the first Knight Rider convention in Orlando, Florida, NightCon 97. And unbeknownst to me, she hung on to the t-shirt. I didn't have my t-shirt anymore, but she hung on to her shirt for 25, is it 25 years? 07, 17, yeah, 25 years. Oh, this is the 25th anniversary this year, 2022, right? 25 years. Yes, that's exciting. So for the 25th anniversary of NightCon 97, I'm wearing the NightCon 97 shirt for this video. All right, enough blabbering. Let's get to work. Do you want to help with the Semi's restoration? Donate now to the Semi Restoration GoFundMe initiative or buy one of our awesome Semi Restoration Team shirts. Links are in the video description below. Doesn't the Semi kind of look really imposing when you look at it from this angle? Just this giant, well, for lack of a better term, behemoth, right? It's not Goliath, but it's huge, really. And, you know, for someone who hasn't really been around tractor trailers that much, when this first arrived, you know, it's bigger in person than what I was expecting. For you truckers out there, I'm sure this is standard fare. Maybe this even looks small, but for me, this thing looked giant. I know it's been a while since we've really done anything on the tractor, and, you know, it's kind of because we found the trailer and we kind of let this thing sit. But off camera, we did manage to get the interior mostly together. And for those of you who have been following this project, you're not going to believe the transformation. We still have a few things to do, but let's take you inside and show you the inside of the screen-used Knight Rider GMC General tractor. Let's take a look. All right, here we go. Look at that. Now, for those of you who have been following along, you might remember the interior of this cab was a bit dicey. We had about 20 mice, maybe 30, I don't know, living in the cab. The headliner, which we have yet to secure a replacement headliner, but the headliner was sagging, full of mice nests and poop and pee. It was disgusting in here. The mice were all in the HVAC, duct work, everything. We tore the dash out. We gutted everything. We sprayed down the interior. We pressure washed it. And then this is the result. Now, of course, there's still a few things. The steering wheel, still have to send it out to get recovered. That'll probably be a winter project, but take a look at these seats though. So the passenger seat is the original screen used passenger seat. This seat was not here. It was replaced over the years whenever it was used after Knight Rider. So it was replaced with a non-correct seat. But once again, Danny Nassif, our friend, donated this seat, which is in really, really great shape. We looked everywhere for this original fabric, and we weren't able to find it. We checked all of the major vintage upholstery houses, nothing. So luckily, these are in pretty good shape. I did use an upholstery cleaner. I scrubbed them. We are getting a steam cleaner. We're going to steam clean these, but for the most part, they cleaned up pretty nice. So, all right, let's climb up here and see what we got. And I actually, for the first time, really feel like I can sit in the tractor and, not gag. So that's nice. There you go. This is what RC3 was looking at in the wrong crowd, right? He had his feet propped up here. He was watching a TV that was a fake TV up here, a basketball game. But we refinished all of the dash as best we could. Now this dash pad has a couple cracks in it that we were not able to do anything with. So hopefully one day we'll be able to find a nice replacement dash pad to put in here. But for now, the original remains. It's all cleaned up. It was re-dyed. Same with that panel over there. Even the ashtray was redone. All the gauges, switches, everything was pulled out, cleaned, tested, everything works. The transmission here, all of the air lines to the transmission had been chewed up by mice. We replaced all those. We still have to put the sleeve back on to kind of hide all of these air lines, but brand new carpet, the right shade. We did just kind of for nostalgia's sake, because most of the carpet in the tractor was completely unusable, except for this piece right here. There was this piece right here that just sat on top of the existing carpet. And you can even see the color's a little different. This is a little more faded than the replacement carpet, but we decided to keep this in here just as a tribute to the original carpet. This was the only piece that we were able to clean up enough to get the pee smell, the mice smell, all that stuff out of it. We scrubbed it, we steamed it. So we thought, oh, that's nice. We can put that piece back in there, but it's new carpet everywhere else. So like I said, we still have to find a headliner. Headliners, they're not reproduced. They're kind of hard to find. So hopefully we'll be able to get one in here pretty soon. If we look out the back here, these trim panels, these are all, this top one is original. This one that kind of goes around the frame there. This is original. However, it was faded, it was dirty. So we repainted this in the correct color. These panels down here were missing on either side. Down here, they were missing. Once again, Danny Nassif donated those panels, so we painted them to match, got those back in. There is an access door that we do have that's not currently in that covers all this wiring. We're going to leave that off because we're going to have to change out some of this wiring here. All of the seat belts. So the seat belts were actually cut. For some reason, on these tractors, you have your normal seat belt and your receiver, but then there's this additional piece, this belt that actually physically attaches the seat to the cab itself. For some reason, all of these were cut when we got it. So again, Danny, awesome, gave us replacement seat belts from a donor GMC General. We got all those put back. We scrubbed all of the seat belts. We got all those put back in. So it's really, really coming together. And like I said, you can sit in the truck, you can take a deep breath, and it doesn't gag you. It doesn't smell like mice anymore. Actually, what it does smell like is mothballs, because we're keeping mothballs, and you can see I've got a couple mouse traps in here. We haven't had any mice in here in a long time, but just be on the safe side. We're keeping this stuff in here for now. Eventually it'll make its way out of here. So that is an update on the inside of the GMC General tractor. It's really come a long way. So the next step for the tractor is we're in talks right now to get this sent out, to get a tune-up done. It's going to get all new tires. We've got to change out the battery cables. What else? We got a leaking wheel cylinder right here, and probably another one. The correct rims, we have them. They've been sandblasted. We showed you that in a previous video. Those need added in, and a few other little things. But then once this thing is mechanically perfect, road ready, everything ready to go, we'll get it back, and then we're gonna get back to the bodywork, priming. We'll get this thing in paint. For the sleeper, not gonna give you too many details, but we're working on something really cool with the sleeper, getting it recreated exactly the way it was on the show. I mean, when I say exact, I'm talking down to the rivet exact. You just won't believe what's happening with this. So that'll still be a little ways away. We got plenty of work to do here on the tractor. Something else neat regarding the tractor that we've never shown before, whenever we were doing the teardown, there's the passenger side sun visor, we flipped it down, and to our delight, we found the original service parts identification labels. And we have the VIN covered here, because you guys don't need to know that, but the VIN of this matches the VIN of the truck. So, you know, if for any of you are curious, you know, here's just kind of a rundown of the truck as it left GMC and the different options that it came with. It's just really cool. And you can see this truck had a ton of options, and it had 256-inch wheelbase, which I think we measured. We measured this wheelbase, and this is not the wheelbase it had on Knight Rider. So the wheelbase had been altered before it even filmed on Knight Rider. So GMC, it had left GMC with 256-inch wheelbase. Knight Rider changed it, I forget to what, and then it got changed again after the show ended. So we've now, of course, reverted it back to the Knight Rider wheelbase, which, like I said, I don't know what that is off the top of my head. We can see a build date of, what is this? 11/10/1983, November 10th, 1983 is when these were printed, which makes sense. It's a 1984 model, right? So there's just a, you know, a little bit of information on the GMC General from Knight Rider and all of the awesome options it had. We've got a new feature across the Knight Rider Historians YouTube channel, Super Thanks, not to be confused with Super Pursuit. With Super Thanks, you have the option to post a distinct, colorful, and fully customizable comment in our videos comments section. This shows the world that you are a super Knight Rider fan and will stand out amongst the sea of comments that we receive. Go ahead, give it a try. And every Super Thanks gets a super response from us. Press the thanks button. Just don't press the turbo boost. All right, so let's take a minute, step away from our work. We have to give some shout outs to our newest flag agents. What is a flag agent, you might ask? Well, the Knight Rider Historians have a Patreon community. And in that Patreon community, you are able to support us, to allow us to do things like restore this and find these awesome props and restore them. So the flag agents are our top tier supporters. And because they are our top tier supporters, we want to do something extra special for them. So we not only give our newest flag agents a shout out in our videos, but any questions that our flag agents ask, we are contractually obligated under the federal laws of the United States of America to answer them. Well, maybe not like that, right? But we do answer your questions on air for flag agent. If you're interested in joining our Patreon community, which by the way, you get early access to all our videos, you get exclusive videos that we never publish publicly, and exclusive behind the scenes photos I guarantee you have never seen before. So it's probably worth checking out. There's a link below in the description, and there's one right up here, right above my head in the corner. All right, so let's get to it. Our flag agents, our newest flag agents, and excuse me in advance if I butcher your name. I don't mean to. All right, Sam Justice. Sam, what an awesome name. We're so glad you are here. Alin Malventano? That's gotta be close, right? Malventano? Hi, Lynn. Thanks for joining us. John Walters. John, we're glad you are here. Willie Pierce. Willie, hello. Awesome name. Glad you're here. David Lyons. David Lyons. You know, part of the pilot was filmed, I think, on Lyons Avenue, spelled the same way. Maybe it was named after you. I don't know. Christopher Adamic? One of those two. Hi, Christopher. And finally, Robbie Cohen. Robbie, welcome. So in addition to those new supporters to our Patreon community, we have a few people that have upgraded their support. There's 4 different levels currently on our Patreon community, and we have a couple people that have increased to the top tier flag agents. They are Jay Bell Jr., Lee Molyneux, Adam Pell, maybe Pell, you can let me know, and Hazel Kitching. So thank you guys so much for your support. And again, if you're interested in joining us, there's a link down in the description below. All right, so the questions asked this round. First one is from SwissKnight2000.ch. Is there an original comlink somewhere? I'm sure there is, probably at Universal Studios in their prop department. I wouldn't be surprised if they still have one. There's been rumors of comlinks, original comlinks floating around. People have contacted us with pictures. That's one of those props that's so hard to validate, right? Because it was a stock watch and they just put a face on it, which is really, really easy to fake. So we have yet to 100% identify and validate an original comlink watch. All right, next one's from Jason Fractic. In your many commentaries, there have been many commentaries. You mentioned the number of kit cars that were used in a given episode, but my question is, how many kit cars were there in total in all 4 seasons? Oh, what a wonderful question. Can we tell you an exact number? No. We have done way more research than any human ever should on the number of cars used in the show. Our best guess is probably no more than 30. Now, I know that number might seem shockingly low to some people, right? Because didn't the Dukes of Hazzard go through like 309 or 317 Chargers, something like that? So how could Knight Rider, even if it was only on the air 4 years versus the Duke 7, how could it only go through like 30 cars? Well, we believe it did. We believe there weren't that many cars because they had the original cars from the pilot in the early first season. That was 4 cars. And then they got like 2 more in the first season. So you got 6 there. Whenever the train derailment happened, by all accounts, the most that Knight Rider got was about a dozen. Now they got more cars than that, but some of the cars were so damaged that they were parts cars. So they took the parts off to replace parts on the other cars. But as far as actual usable cars from the train derailment, maybe about 12. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, the train derailment, we covered it in a previous video on our channel. So you might want to check that out. So they got about 20, and then there's been a few other cars peppered in here and there, like onesie twosies throughout season 3 and 4. Most of the cars, the hero cars, the main hardtop stunt car that I always talk about, the left-hand blind drive car, the right-hand blind drive car, those were only ever one Trans Am throughout the course of the 4 years. The only special purpose car we've ever 100% identified as being multiple Trans Ams is the roll cage acrylic window jump car, which makes sense, right? That one was abused the most by far. From what we can tell, they only ever had one roll cage acrylic window jump car at a time, but that specific Trans Am filling that role had been replaced at least once during the series, probably a couple more times. So you put all those pieces together, and combing through call sheets and doing deep dive analysis on scenes and screenshots, watching the series in production order, not aired order, about 30 cars. That's at most about 30 cars. All right. This one's from Hazel Kitching. I would like to know if David Hasselhoff did a lot of the high-speed driving scenes himself. Yeah, he did a lot of driving scenes. I mean, don't get me wrong, most of them were stuntmen, but Hasselhoff, Jack Gill taught Hasselhoff how to drive, you know, how to really drive. So a lot of those scenes are Hasselhoff driving, which is pretty impressive. All right, Matthew Kochi. The rubber shell you speak about in the videos, it seems like it has some gloss as you can see reflections. Was the rubber painted with a gloss or had some clear over it? Boy, that's a great question. My guess is I would guess that it was painted because those rubber shells, you know, the coating on them from getting bashed and everything would need repair just like a Trans Am would. So I'm positive that they would have just painted it probably with the same paint that they would have used on the Trans Am, so that's why it's shiny. And finally, Keith Mitchell, I'm wondering if you would consider making molds of the screen used parts and selling reproductions. Honestly, we're so busy with other things, I don't even know if that's something we would want to get into. We have made molds of our screen used parts just internally for us to have in case something happens to one of the original parts. That way we have the mold of it. But we've never sold any of those. We just keep those molds in storage just kind of for what if. So we do have the molds for a lot of the parts, but we've never released them. I'm not gonna say never, but right now I've got my hands full with restoring a tractor trailer and some other stuff. So as of right now, no, but check back with me. All right, guys, that is all of our questions. Thank you so much. Again, if you're interested in joining our Patreon community, check out the link below. Thank you. All right, something cool I wanted to show you on the trailer itself. You know, just because we were doing some work on the tractor doesn't mean we're stopping work on the trailer. Something neat that we did off camera that I'm gonna show you here. We're gonna go over here, we're gonna go under, just a little bit. What you're looking at there, that is the back side of the original belly boxes. Now, why is that important? Well, it is and it isn't important, right? So those back sides of the belly boxes, they were actually covered up. There was another piece of plywood that went all the way across there to cover it up and actually was taller. So you can see the belly boxes are shorter, but you can see the angle iron down here. The panels, because these belly boxes, the ones, all the non-screen used ones that we removed were actually deeper than the original Knight Rider belly boxes. You can see how short those were, and probably another 6 inches were how tall the replacement boxes were, the ones they added later. So for the first time in 30 years, we uncovered the backside of the original belly boxes. Now there's no, magical, markings from the Knight Rider days that we've seen or anything like that. And in fact, it's actually, they're all pretty dirty. We're gonna get in here with a pressure washer and clean them up just to see what the backsides look like. I anticipate that we'll find remnants of black paint on them, but we'll have to see what that looks like. You can see here, we still have a lot of angle iron we got to cut out, and there's places where it's spot welded, so we're gonna have to grind those out and get that taken care of. But it's really coming along. All right, the other thing we did off camera is we removed the outlets. If you remember, outlets were added later in the life of the trailer. There was an awning that came out here, and the outlets, we're assuming they plugged like string lights into them or whatever. So we got all of the outlets removed. There's 2 down below, you can see here. And obviously when we removed them, there were giant holes here, so we temporarily just taped them up just to keep moisture out, keep critters out, things like that. We still have to take these mounts off right there, but that involves someone on the inside holding a nut while we unscrew them on the outside. There were also little pins across the top, on the roof, right across the top of this entire side of the trailer. There's probably 40 of them. So those all had to be unscrewed or the rivets drilled out, depending on how they installed it. Got all those out, and we'll show you kind of a pile of all these parts here in a minute that we pulled out. Also, I don't know if you can see, one of the bolts on this side is not there currently. Most of these bolts, they actually tack welded on the back side to keep them from falling out once they cut them. That one bolt they didn't, which is great for us. So I was able to pull that bolt out. And from that, I was able to determine the thread pitch, the size, everything, the head size, everything. So, because all these bolts, every one of these bolts, unfortunately, is all gonna have to be replaced because they were all cut. So thankfully I was able to get one out to do all my measurements, and we'll be able to get the exact bolts we need. The only bolts that on this entire trailer that were added by the studio that weren't cut are those 3 on either side up there. Those are original, not cut. All those were cut, so we're gonna have to do that. So let's take a look at our pile of parts now. All right, so here's some of the stuff that we pulled off the side of the trailer. Here are all the outlet covers here. This is what I was talking about. I'm sure these have some kind of a name, but these were receivers for the awning. They would put the loops or like grommets over this and then twist the top to lock them in to hold part of the awning. So you can see here, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 32, yeah, just about 40. Just like I said, so there's 40 of those. We also took off, these are the locks they put on the original Knight Rider belly boxes. We took these off because these were added later. These are not correct. So we're gonna have to get the holes filled in and put the correct handles on there to get that back to screen use. Got a couple old outlets here. Here's one of the receivers that we were able to get up. There's still, I think, 2 more on the side there. And then here, this is one of my favorite things we've taken off the trailer. This is one of the original bolts that the studio put in to hold some of the winch apparatus. And you can see here, I mean, you can see how it was cut, right? But thankfully, we were able to, like I said, we cleaned the threads. We were able to match this pretty much perfectly. And actually, I have one complete bolt I found in my bolts bin here. As for the length, we have a good idea of the length of at least some of them. Some of them were about 4 inches long. Some we think were a little shorter. This one I think is 3 1/4 inch. So obviously we're going to have to go to the parts store and buy a whole bunch of these. But yeah, it's a neat little piece of Knight Rider history. We're gonna have to hang on to that. All right, so let's take a moment, take a look at our before here. So, I mean, you know, they definitely need cleaned out. We got it all vacuumed out a while back, but definitely need to get the pressure washer in here and blow all this rest of this junk out and get it cleaned up. So let's get going. So I think this is going to take a while, but look how much cleaner it is right there than there. We got a long way to go. Oh, isn't that yummy? Just look at the difference though. It's already looking so much better. It's interesting it has a red tint to it, isn't it? You never would have known that when you look at that right there. We got all the walls clean inside and outside, but you can see here, you know, we still got quite a bit to clean out here. And same with down here. At first I thought this was black paint, but this is not black paint. But the belly boxes, we're gonna leave the doors open and let these air out, and then we're gonna do another round here in the next couple days. Maybe we can get it finished off. We're also able to, we realize, I mean, you see that the outside is black, right? The outside of the belly boxes are in fact black. Yeah, there you go. We got all that cleaned out, so coming along. Still got to cut all that extra bracing off, but we're getting there. Well, that should just about wrap up this episode. The teardown of the semi-trailer continues. But hey, look at all the progress we made in 2.5 months. Let's just figure out a way to get this tilt deck out of here. Then we'll have the rest gutted in no time. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you're enjoying this series on the Night Rider trailer. We'll catch you next time.